Hello and welcome to this video on getting your bonsai safely from point A to point B without the anxiety-inducing, panic-causing and heart-wrenching sounds that go along with an unsecured bonsai tree. Imagine this. You're going to your local club or society, perhaps even an exhibition. You want advice on your bonsai, or perhaps it's some kind of workshop. You put your bonsai in the backseat of your car and drive away. Somewhere between when you leave and when you arrive, your bonsai experiences the consequences of physics existing. Inertia leads to the tree moving forwards while your car comes to a halt. The pot tips over as you accelerate from a stoplight. The trunk snaps as the tree bends under the pressure of a sharp turn. These are just very rudimentary examples of why you need to know how to secure and transport your bonsai safely. Things do get much more complicated very quickly, and the heartbreak of losing a bonsai you spent a very long time styling and growing and caring for because, oops, you forgot is, not great. Transporting bonsai is critical because small shocks, temperature swings, wind, or even drying out can damage the roots, break branches, or cause leaf drop. And so here's a reasonably comprehensive guide covering the common methods and ideally real-world examples where we can, along with the various merits and demerits for transporting your bonsai safely. A short distance transport. This is typically going to be somewhere under 3 hours. It's essentially within your own city or the next city over. Take it in your car. So if you can drive somewhere, this is the best way. The most common scenario is going to be bringing a bonsai from home to, say, a show or something similar. You want to secure it in a sturdy box or some sort of plastic crate. This is the best method for most bonsai. Important to say most. So the example approach is to place your pot inside a large plastic storage bin, something slightly taller than the tree is, and then pad the area around the pot with some sort of bubble wrap, a newspaper or something else so it can't shift at all. If you need to, wedge rolled up paper, towels, foam or anything else around between branches and everywhere else. Essentially, you want to make it as immobile as possible with material that isn't hard. One thing you should do if you are going to use this method is ideally cut ventilation holes in it, and then cover these with mesh if it's cold. This will avoid issues to do with humidity. Then we have the trunk foot or footwell seating with a seatbelt. This is not the best approach, but if you have particularly valuable or delicate trees, such as old junipers with jun and shari, it's probably what you're going to have to go with. You take a towel and you put it on the passenger side floor. You place your bonsai tree there and you run the seatbelt around the pot. The low center of gravity should prevent it from tipping over, even in sharp turns. Should is an operative word there though. And finally, we have the car boot or trunk box method. If you have some sort of a box or a cat carrier, you can use this to transport it. Line it with a blanket, secure the tree inside, and then use a elasticated cord to keep the box as, let's say, immobile as possible so it doesn't slide around. There is a variation on this if you have access to it, and that's to use the same sort of crates that are used for bread. They're generally reasonably wide and deep, but they're not very tall. What they do is have a perforated bottom, so you can use things like rope, elasticated cord or similar, and you can hold trees down on this quite hard. And they shouldn't shift around, and because it's quite a wide crate, it's either going to wedge into the boot of your car quite well, or if you can't do that, you can always just tie it down itself. Now the downside to that approach is that you then need a way to secure the top parts of the tree. Using something like a foam, styrofoam, padding, towels, anything else is one way to fill that void, but for smaller trees this is a very good approach. All of these, however, do require temperature control, and this is kind of critical no matter what you're doing. You never want to leave your bonsai in a hot or freezing car for even 10 minutes if you can avoid it. For example, if it's winter or summer where you have extreme cold, extreme heat, start your car and get it up to a reasonable temperature, then put your bonsai in. If this is winter, consider, say, a bubble wrap for the pot in particular, as that's going to help with insulating the roots. For summer, well, you want to use something that's going to cool it. Even something like a cooler, esky, whatever you wish to call it, an insulated box, and put ice packs in that, but don't have them touch the pot itself because the temperature change can cause issues there. So you can use the air conditioner in the car to bring it down in temperature, ice packs to bring it down, and just be a little bit cautious with it. Medium distance is rather more difficult. This is probably still going to require a car, unfortunately. This is when you're driving, let's say, the next state or territory over. In that case, you're going to take anywhere up to 24 hours, which is a long time. This is your road trip or multi-day workshop kind of situation. You're going to want to use most of what we've described already if you can, but you need to add humidity and watering to this. Plan around that because it's going to be a fairly significant consideration. Use a large plastic tub, bin, or whatever you wish to call it, or even a pop-up greenhouse to try and create a somewhat humid environment. Now, being in a car, this is going to be rather more difficult because the next day you go back to your car is going to look like somebody's had hot sex in it, which isn't ideal. One of the ways you can do this is to use a large, let's say, roughly 100 to 120 litre or somewhere in the ballpark of 100 quart storage tub with a slightly cracked lid for air to flow in and out. Now you can solve that issue by simply putting vents in it, but separate issue again. You also want to, for this sort of thing, mist foliage lightly and cover with some sort of humidity dome or a clear bag. Now you need to leave air gaps in that still, that's to prevent mold, but again this is where things like having the lid somewhat open, air vents, etc. work just as well. And you want to have a spray bottle and distilled water. This is simply to spray the trees. These trees will be sitting in your car for at least a day and getting rather warm and dry. Warm and dry in terms of if it's winter, well, air conditioners do draw moisture out of the air. It's a part of how they operate. In the case of being warm, well, you're heating your car in winter to avoid the cold outside. In summer, you still get the warmth because, well, it's still sunny outside and still hot. But you're probably going to get more moisture issues, and that's where mold becomes a consideration. And next we have long distance. This is something that's going to take you more than a day, and by that we mean more than 24 hours. You pretty much want to repeat everything we've mentioned already, but you want to put the entire box in the backseat or trunk with ratchet straps. This is so it literally cannot move. You may in fact need to put wedges in there to try and lock it in place. To use the bread box example, or bread tray example, you can use two opposing wedges. By pushing them into each other, they are basically push against each other into the side rather than inwards, but because they're wedges and they're sloped, they expand outwards and lock your pots in place. Now this works well if you've, for example, got room to be able to not necessarily swing a hammer, but at least force them into position. Ratchet straps would do the same job, just somewhat more difficult if they suddenly spring loose and you now have something flying around in your car that can cause a lot of damage to your trees and, prospectively, you. You want to try and do this if you're going to travel in either spring or autumn when the night temperatures are more moderate. Somewhere in the ballpark of 5 to 15 degrees Celsius, or about 50 degrees in freedom units. And you want to stay overnight in, pet-friendly hotels, simply because you can bring the trees into your room. You do not leave the trees in your car overnight if you can avoid it. The next option is, if you're sending these trees somewhere more significant. Shipping, basically. Whether or not you're using, say, DHL or something similar. And it's used when flying is not possible or a tree is small or medium-sized. But this does have some pretty big concerns, mostly around biosecurity, quarantine, and similar for a lot of countries. A lot of countries do not let you bring a plant into it with any sort of soil on its root ball. You can sometimes use things like sphagnum moss, but basically it has to be bare-rooted, which means you're nearly always shipping in winter. And next is, domestic shipping, which basically if you're shipping it within a country, you're generally in luck, but even then some countries have weird rules about that, so definitely make sure you're checking to see what's going on with that, because the last thing you want to do is be sending off a bonsai somewhere and get a letter back from whatever their border authority is saying, are you sent a plant to this country? We don't allow that, so we incinerated it. Australia had something like that to the Johnny Depp and his dogs, but we'll find that at some point.
Mr. Depp has to either take his dogs back to California or we're going to have to euthanize them.
You also want to have some sort of heat pack and insulation. Ideally a heat pack that will last at least 48 hours, but with enough insulation you can get away with less. This works in winter. In summer, you want to do the opposite. But if it's going to get above 30 degrees Celsius, somewhere in the ballpark of 85 freedom units, you probably don't want to be shipping it at that time. There are examples of the Bonsai shipping boxes, and so you can see these here. Most of them are sort of a pot cradle and it's double corrugated. You can get 2 boxes, a box in a box, and this has peanut foam or shredded paper around the inner box. This essentially acts as a shock absorber. You then need to wrap the pot itself in damp sphagnum moss, plastic, and the branches need to be protected with tissue, cardboard sleeves, and possibly even more packing peanuts. Finally, label it. Make sure whoever is handling it knows there's a live plant in there, and that it is perishable and needs to be kept from extreme heat and cold. Put these labels on all 6 sides. If you have ever seen a suitcase going through the airport, you will understand how little care is given for whatever they're handling. If they can chuck it, they will chuck it. The typical success rates for all this when done correctly are basically 95% or more for deciduous. Now, it's slightly lower for pines, particularly if you're shipping in summer. Finally, we have, let's say, air travel. Now, this is basically where you want to almost entirely restrict it to carry-on or checked baggage. There are other ways around that, but let's just focus on those 2. Now, carry-on is the preferred, and this is because most countries will allow live plants as carry-on if they fit in the overhead or under-seat storage. You basically want a smaller pot, something about 20 centimeters, and you want to wrap the pot in multiple layers of plastic bags. This is to protect it from leakage mostly. Then bubble wrap it, and then possibly some more plastic again. The branches should be lapped loosely in damp paper towel, plus perforated bags, and this is just to keep up humidity. Put the entire tree in a tall carry-on bag. Sometimes you can also get bonsai carry tubes, which is basically a PVC pipe with caps that are sold in Japan to make it more convenient to transport. At security, you want to move it from the bag, place it in a bin like a laptop, and basically most agents be like, that's weird, but sure, you do you. It's probably not the weirdest thing they've seen go through security that day. Checked baggage is the much riskier option. You want a hard-shelled suitcase, and you want to put a lot of padding in it. You basically aren't taking anything but this bonsai. Or your clothes will all be wet. Again, you want to have a bare root or moss ball, more so if the tree's going international, but even then. And, well, essentially, most of the time, that's not going to be an option. If it's valuable, you're not going to take it this way. It's just reality. International shipping is, as we've mentioned, an absolute nightmare. Extremely difficult. If you're taking something from Japan and taking it to, say, Europe or USA, it's going to be difficult, but there are rules and you can follow them. Typically speaking, the seller will have a bare root tree, they'll wash the roots, they'll treat it with fungicides, they'll wrap it in some sort of sphagnum moss option, in plastic, more sphagnum, and then secure it with stakes, ties, and similar, pack it into an insulated box, and then send it out. Now, you may need to worry about getting certain certificates and similar, but it can be done. Reputable Japanese nurseries will generally do so, and they have a fairly high success rate because of it. Just be aware that this applies mostly to the US and Europe, and even within that there are exceptions. For other countries, things get to be a lot more difficult. We can tell you from what we know that places like, say, New Zealand and Australia have extreme biosecurity rules, and basically you can't. There's no way to send a plant to those countries with a reasonable chance of success. But if we're talking about other places, yeah, much better chance. But if you are shipping anything, even with your own country, make sure branches are protected from rubbing or bending, the roots don't dry out, and the temperature is kept reasonably constant. Cooler is okay, but reasonably constant. You also want to plan to water it, if you can when transporting it yourself. If it's within, let's say, for example, a box, a watering bulb may work, but yeah, you're probably better off just packing sphagnum moss high and hoping that the moisture levels stay there long enough. Unpacking on the other end, different story entirely, and not for this video at this point. Thank you for watching. If you found it interesting, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. And please do post any comments, questions, or suggestions you have below.